Hey everyone. Ever thought about a career in software testing?
Or maybe you're just curious about what it takes to make sure your favorite apps and games actually, work.
Well, today we're diving deep into the world of software testing.
We've got this really cool guide.
And let me tell you, it's so much more than just clicking around and hoping something breaks.
Yeah, it's way more than just finding bugs. It's about really understanding how software is developed, making sure it's a good experience for the user, and that in the end, it does what it's supposed to and does it well.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What exactly does a software tester do all day?
Right.
This guide gives an example of a typical day, and honestly, it's a lot more dynamic than I thought.
Yeah, for sure. It's a mix of thinking analytically, planning everything out really carefully, and also being creative to solve problems.
Hmm.
You might be looking over design documents one minute and writing test cases the next, and then actually running those tests and documenting all the results.
Oh, and then there's the whole communication part, right? Like, it's not enough to just find the bugs.
Oh, what?
You have to be able to explain them to the developers, in a way that's clear, concise, and how do I put this?
Diplomatic.
Yes, diplomatic.
Definitely. You're kind of like a translator between the technical world of code and what the everyday user expects.
Right.
And that takes a unique set of skills, both technical and non-technical.
That's what I found so fascinating about this guide. It really highlights the importance of those non-technical skills. Things like, being able to communicate well, think analytically, and manage your time. Who knew those would be so crucial for a job that's, seemingly all about tech?
It makes sense when you really think about it.
Mm.
A tester needs to be able to understand complex systems, break problems down into smaller steps, and then explain what they found to different people.
So let's unpack those non-technical skills a bit more. The guide starts with analytical skills. They even link to a problem-solving puzzle as an example, suggesting that if you can solve it, you've got the analytical skills for software testing.
It's all about that detective mindset. You're looking for patterns, things that are out of place, and any weaknesses in the software's logic. That takes a sharp mind and the ability to think critically.
Then there's communication. The guide stresses how important it is to write clearly and concisely and, to be diplomatic when dealing with developers. I can imagine things could get a little tense when you're the one saying, hey, you've got a bug.
Oh, for sure. It's about finding that sweet spot between being thorough and accurate in your reports while also being respectful and understanding where the developer is coming from. No one wants to feel like they're being attacked.
So it's not just about pointing fingers, it's about everyone working together to find solutions and create the best product possible.
Exactly. And that collaborative spirit is so important throughout the entire process of developing software.
The guide also highlights how important time management and organization are, especially when you're getting close to a release.
Yeah, testing can be a really demanding job, especially when deadlines are looming and everyone's counting on you to make sure the software is ready to go. Being able to prioritize tasks, manage your time well, and stay organized is essential.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The guide talks about the importance of a great attitude, and this is where the passion for software testing really comes through. They call it a test-to-break mentality.
It's that almost like a mischievous joy in finding those hidden bugs
Uh-huh.
and that dedication to improving the software, no matter how small the problem might seem.
And speaking of passion, the guide encourages aspiring testers to really dig deep and see if this is something that truly excites them. It emphasizes that if you don't genuinely enjoy the challenge of finding and fixing bugs, it's going to be a long and potentially, tedious road.
Yeah, it's definitely not a job for everyone. But for those who love solving puzzles, who get a thrill out of the hunt, and who feel good about contributing to a high-quality product, it can be an incredibly rewarding career.
All right, so we've covered the non-technical stuff,
Hmm.
but let's not forget about those tech skills. The guide goes into a long list of technical areas. Don't worry, we won't bore you with all the jargon. We'll focus on the essentials and what you really need to know to get started.
The specific technical skills you need will really depend on the company, the role, and what kind of software you're testing. But having a solid foundation in a few key areas can make all the difference.
So first up, databases and SQL. Why is this so important?
Well, most applications use databases to store information. That could be user data, product details, really anything.
Okay.
As a tester, you need to be able to check that the data is being stored correctly and that it can be retrieved when needed. and that's where SQL comes in.
So it's not just about testing what the user sees, but also understanding how the data is working behind the scenes.
Exactly. And even a basic understanding of SQL, which is a language used to interact with databases, can be a huge help.
Hmm.
You can write simple queries to retrieve data, look for any inconsistencies, and make sure everything is working as it should.
Okay, that makes sense. The guide also mentions Linux commands. I have to admit, I'm not a Linux expert, so why would a software tester need to know about this?
Well, Linux is a powerful operating system that's used a lot, especially on servers, where many applications are hosted. Even a basic understanding of Linux commands can help you move around the file system, run scripts, and troubleshoot problems.
So it's not about becoming a Linux guru overnight, but having some familiarity can be really useful.
Absolutely. And then there's the world of testing tools. There are tools for managing test cases, tracking bugs, automating tests, all sorts of things. The guide mentions a few specific examples like TestLink, QC, Bugzilla, and Jira. Don't worry if you don't recognize those names right now. What's important is understanding what these tools do and how they can help you be a more effective tester.
Okay, let's break those tools down a bit more. What's the deal with test management tools?
Think of them as your organization's superheroes.
Okay.
They help you create and manage test cases, track your progress, generate reports, and keep everyone on the team in the loop about where things stand with testing.
So they basically help you keep all the moving pieces of the testing process organized.
Exactly. For example, tools like TestLink allow you to create test plans, define test cases, assign those cases to testers, and then track the results. It's like a central hub for all your testing activities.
And then there are defect tracking tools. What are those all about?
These tools, like QC, Bugzilla, and Jira, are specifically designed to help you manage those pesky bugs you uncover during testing.
Ah, got it.
They let you log the bug, describe how severe it is, assign it to the right developer, and then track its progress until it's fixed.
So it's not just about finding the bugs, but also making sure they're addressed and fixed properly.
Exactly. These tools provide a structured way to document, prioritize, and keep track of defects, which is so important for making sure the software is high quality.
And finally, let's talk about automation. I feel like that's a buzzword that's thrown around a lot. What does it actually mean for software testing?
Well, automation is about using tools to run tests automatically, especially for those repetitive tasks that can be time-consuming and prone to errors when done manually.
The guide specifically mentions Selenium as a popular automation tool. What's so special about Selenium?
Selenium is pretty cool. It lets you automate interactions with a web browser, so you can write scripts that simulate user actions like clicking buttons, filling out forms, and navigating through different pages. It's super helpful for testing web applications and making sure they work correctly across different browsers and platforms.
So it's not about replacing manual testing completely, but more like making the process more efficient.
Right. It's about using the right tool for the right job.
All right, we've covered a lot when it comes to technical skills, and honestly, it can feel a little overwhelming. What's the best way to approach learning all of this?
Well, I think the key is to focus on building a strong foundation first, and then gradually expanding your knowledge as you gain experience. Don't try to learn everything all at once. Start with the basics, get comfortable with the core concepts, and then delve deeper into specific areas that interest you.
And remember, the tech world changes so fast, so you got to keep learning. Don't be afraid to try new tools, go to those webinars, or even just play around on your own.
Yeah, staying curious and wanting to learn is key. Speaking of learning, how does someone actually get started in software testing? What does the guide recommend?
Well, it suggests starting with the fundamentals of software testing, really understanding the basic concepts, the different types of testing, and how the whole software development process works.
Like building a house. Got to have a good foundation before you can add the walls and roof.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. The guide actually encourages new testers to jump right into freelancing. They say that getting real-world experience, even on small projects, is super valuable.
That's a great way to actually use your skills, build up your portfolio, and make connections in the industry. Plus, it helps you figure out what types of testing you enjoy most, and maybe even what areas you'd like to specialize in.
I like that they focus on the practical side. It's not just about theory, it's about actually doing the work.
Definitely. And once you've got some experience, you can start digging into specific tools and techniques. The guide mentions tools like Selenium for automation, JMeter for performance testing, and TestLink for test management.
Whoa, so many options. It's like a choose your own adventure.
That's the best part about software testing. There's something for everyone.
True.
And while certifications aren't required, the guide mentions that they can help you stand out when you're looking for jobs. They recommend the ISTQB Foundation Level certification as a good place to start.
So it's like a seal of approval showing employers, the basics.
Yeah, exactly. It shows you're serious about the field and willing to invest in your professional development.
Okay. Now let's talk about something I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about. Academic background. The guide lists some ideal degrees, like BTech, MCA, BCA, and a BSc in computer science.
Sure, those are all great, but a computer science degree isn't always necessary. Plenty of successful software testers have different educational backgrounds.
That's good to know.
Yeah. What matters most is your passion for it, your willingness to learn, and your ability to show off your skills.
The guide mentions that if you don't have a computer science degree, certifications like ISTQB and CSTE can be really helpful. Those focus specifically on software testing methods.
Yeah, the certifications can fill in the gaps and show that you understand key testing concepts, even without a formal computer science education.
So there's not just one right way to get into this field.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
all about finding the path that works best for you and your goals.
Okay, I'm ready to bust some myths. The guide has a whole section about common misconceptions about software testing. I think some of these might surprise people.
Ooh, let's hear them. I'm always happy to break down those old stereotypes.
Myth number 1, software testing pays less and is less respected than development.
Oh, that's a classic one. And it's just not true. Software testing is super important in any software development company, and skilled testers are valued and paid well.
The guide says that in good companies, software testers are treated just as well as developers with competitive salaries and benefits.
As they should be. They play a huge role in making sure the software is high quality and successful, which directly affects the company's bottom line.
Okay, myth number 2, software testing is boring. I'll admit, when I first thought about it, I imagined someone just clicking buttons all day, but this guide shows it's totally different.
Yeah, it's anything BUT boring. Software testing takes creativity, problem-solving skills, and a sharp eye for detail. It's like solving a puzzle, and there's always something new to learn and discover.
The guide makes a good point. Any job can have repetitive tasks. The real fun in software testing comes from understanding what the business needs, coming up with creative test cases, and that excitement of finding those tricky bugs.
It's about thinking like the user, anticipating their actions, and spotting potential problems before they happen.
Okay, I'm convinced software testing is definitely not boring.
Nope.
So we've busted some myths, explored the skills, and talked about how to get started. What's next? What other career paths open up after you get some testing experience?
Ooh, that's a great question. It's one of the things I love about software testing. It's not a dead end. It opens doors to so many other careers, both in testing and in tech in general.
Cool.
The guide mentions a few options, like automation testing, performance testing, and business analysis. Let's dive into those.
Okay.
Automation testing, as we talked about earlier, is all about using tools to automate those repetitive tasks and make testing faster and more efficient.
Right.
It's a specialized area that needs coding skills and a deep understanding of automation frameworks.
So if you like working with code and figuring out how to improve processes, automation testing could be a good fit.
Exactly. Then there's performance testing, which focuses on making sure the software runs smoothly under different conditions.
Like making sure an app doesn't crash when a ton of people are using it at the same time.
Yes. Performance testers use special tools to simulate those heavy loads and put stress on the software to find any bottlenecks or performance issues.
That sounds crucial, especially now that so many apps are in the cloud and have to handle massive amounts of data and users.
Absolutely. And then there's business analysis. This is a more strategic role. It's about understanding the business needs, finding areas for improvement, and connecting those business needs with technology solutions.
The guide points out that software testers often have an advantage here because they already understand the whole software development process from beginning to end.
That's right. They've seen the software from every angle, they know how it's supposed to work, and they understand what can go wrong.
That makes them perfect for analyzing business processes and figuring out ways to improve them using technology.
Exactly. And those are just a few examples. There are so many other areas within software testing, like security testing, mobile app testing, even game testing.
Wow, so many choices. It's exciting to think about all the directions your career could go.
I know, right? And you can always keep learning and developing new skills. You're not limited to just one path.
Speaking of career paths, let's go back to that traditional progression we discussed earlier, the one that starts with a QA analyst and goes up to a senior test manager. Are there other ways to grow in this field?
Definitely. As you get more experience and specialize in certain areas, you can move into roles like test architect, test automation lead, or performance testing manager. Those are leadership positions where you're designing testing strategies, mentoring other testers, and leading quality initiatives.
And for those who like managing people, there's always the option of leading a team of testers or even an entire testing department.
Right. The key is to figure out your strengths, what you're interested in, and your long-term goals. Then you can create a plan to get there.
The guide emphasizes that there's no single path to success in software testing. It's about constantly learning, building your skills, and finding opportunities that match your passions.
And don't underestimate networking. Connecting with other people in the field can open doors to new opportunities, mentorships, and valuable insights.
I want to shift gears a little and talk about something that's often overlooked: the role of a software tester in creating a good work environment.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about finding bugs, it's about building relationships and making sure everyone works well together.
That's such an important point. Software testing is a team effort. Testers need to communicate well, build trust, and create a positive and collaborative atmosphere.
I mean, think about it. No developer wants to be bombarded with bug reports that are poorly written, sound rude, or don't give enough context.
For sure. A good tester knows how to present their findings in a helpful way, focusing on solutions instead of blaming anyone.
And they understand the importance of empathy.
Yeah.
They put themselves in the developer's shoes and the user's shoes to understand how those bugs affect everyone and how important it is to fix them.
By creating a positive and collaborative work environment, testers contribute not only to the quality of the software, but also to the team's overall success and morale.
So it's not just about being good technically, but also about being a good communicator, a team player, and someone who can build good relationships.
Exactly. Those soft skills are just as important as your technical skills.
Now let's talk about continuous learning. The tech world is constantly changing, with new technologies, tools, and methods popping up all the time. How can software testers stay ahead of the curve and make sure their skills stay relevant?
It's all about having that lifelong learning mindset. That means staying updated on industry trends, going to conferences and webinars, and trying out new tools and techniques.
And being open to feedback, finding mentors, and sharing what you know with others.
It's a constant cycle of learning, growing, and adapting.
And let's not forget about personal growth alongside professional development. This field can be demanding, and it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day work.
Oh, definitely. It's so important to take care of yourself, have a good balance between work and life, and do things you enjoy outside of work.
Taking care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally is essential for long-term success and happiness, both in your career and life.
Absolutely. Speaking of success, let's circle back to salary expectations and growth potential.
We talked about average salaries earlier, but those are just starting points. Lots of things can affect how much you can earn.
For sure. Things like your experience, your specialization, location, the size of the company, and the industry all play a part.
For example, a tester who specializes in security testing or mobile app testing might earn more than someone who's more of a generalist.
And if you're willing to move to tech hubs like Silicon Valley or Seattle, you might find better paying jobs.
And of course, salaries usually go up as you gain experience and move up in your career.
Right. The guide emphasizes that software testing has excellent potential for career growth, both within testing and in related fields.
With the right skills, experience, and mindset, a tester can move into leadership roles, specialize in niche areas, or even switch to other tech roles like product management or development.
Exactly. It's all about setting goals, learning all the time, and taking advantage of opportunities when they come up.
And don't be afraid to negotiate your salary and benefits. Know what you're worth, research industry standards, and be ready to stand up for yourself.
That's great advice. Remember, you're a valuable asset and your skills and experience are in high demand.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive, from technical skills to the finer points of communication, career paths, and salary expectations.
We have. But there's one really important aspect of software testing we haven't talked about yet. The mindset.
Ah, yes. That's what truly sets a software tester apart.
It's this unique blend of curiosity, a healthy dose of skepticism, attention to detail, and this constant drive for quality.
A good tester isn't content with things as they are.
Right.
They're always questioning, investigating, and looking for ways to make things better.
They love challenges, enjoy finding those hidden bugs, and take pride in delivering software that meets the highest standards.
And most importantly, they understand that software testing is more than just a job. It's a craft, an art form, a way of thinking.
It's about approaching every project with a fresh perspective, a critical eye, and a passion for making things better.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought.
Cultivate that mindset, embrace the challenges, and never stop learning.
The world of software testing is huge and always changing. And with the right attitude and approach, you can really thrive in this exciting and rewarding field.
We'll be back in the final part of our deep dive to look at some real-world examples of software testing in action. Until then, keep those questions coming, and be sure to share your insights and connect with other aspiring testers on our social media channels. All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into software testing. We've talked about the skills you need, the different career paths, and now it's time to see it all in action with some real-world examples. See how software testing actually makes a difference.
I love this part. It's where we get to see those concepts and techniques we discussed
Yeah.
actually preventing those annoying glitches and crashes we've all experienced.
Exactly. Let's start with something we all use every day: mobile apps. Remember back in the day when apps would constantly crash or drain your battery?
Oh, yeah.
Or they'd be so confusing to use, you'd just give up.
Totally. What most people don't realize is that there's a whole team of software testers working behind the scenes to make those apps better.
More reliable, easier to use, all of that.
Exactly.
It's kind of amazing to think about all the work that goes into making those apps we rely on so smooth and intuitive.
It's a really detailed process that involves testing on tons of different devices, operating systems, and even different network conditions. Testers have to think like users, trying to predict what they'll do and finding problems before they even happen.
So they're not just randomly tapping around, they're actually following specific test cases, analyzing how users interact with the app, and basically trying to break it in every way possible.
Exactly. And it's not just about finding bugs either. It's about giving feedback on the design, how easy it is to use, the whole user experience. They're like advocates for the user, making sure the app is not only functional, but also enjoyable to use.
That's a good point. It's about finding that balance between making it work technically and making it work for people.
For sure. And the stakes are even higher when you're talking about software that affects safety or important systems like in healthcare, aviation, or finance.
Right, a single bug in those applications could have serious consequences.
Absolutely. Rigorous testing is crucial in those areas. Testers need to make sure the software meets the highest standards for reliability, security, and accuracy. They run simulations, stress tests, and all kinds of scenarios to find and fix any weaknesses.
It sounds like a tough job with a lot of responsibility, but also incredibly rewarding knowing that you're contributing to people's safety and well-being.
It really is. And we can't forget the role of software testers in innovation and technology advancements. They're often the ones at the forefront of new technologies, helping to shape the future.
Like in the development of self-driving cars or artificial intelligence, things like that.
Exactly. Testers are playing a crucial role in making sure those technologies are safe, reliable, and actually work.
They're pushing the limits of what's possible, working alongside engineers and developers to turn those groundbreaking ideas into reality.
It's so much more than just finding bugs. It's about making technology better and having a positive impact on the world.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to emphasize that software testing is full of opportunities. It's a dynamic, growing industry that needs skilled professionals.
If you're someone who loves solving problems, has a keen eye for detail, and is passionate about technology, then a career in software testing might be perfect for you.
And remember, the learning never stops. Keep exploring, stay curious, and never be afraid to try new things.
The world of software testing is waiting for you.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of software testing. We hope you learned a lot and feel inspired to explore this amazing field. Be sure to connect with us on social media to keep the conversation going. Until next time, happy testing.